Welcome to the information session for Seeding Digital Skills. This session has a focus on the food and beverage processing sectors, but if you're in the agriculture sector, this is still relevant to you. We'll touch on some of the agriculture points as well. And of course, you may always ask questions using the question and answer box. My name is Jason Chang. I'm with the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and I will be hosting and moderating the session today. The Ontario Chamber of Commerce is the indispensable partner of business and Canada's largest and most influential provincial chamber of commerce. We are independent, nonprofit, member service organization with a diverse network of 60,000 members across all of Ontario through our 140 local chambers of commerce. The OCC convenes, mobilizes, empowers businesses and local chambers to bring inclusive and sustainable prosperity to Ontario's businesses, workers, and communities. We think this new Seeding Digital Skill program does those things. While we meet in cyberspace, I want to acknowledge that I am coming to you from the city of Toronto, which is home to the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. As we lead these informative webinars, I want to acknowledge that Indigenous peoples continue to face outsized barriers to access to skills training, education, and workforce opportunities. And it is incumbent upon all of us to break down these barriers. Indigenous participation in Canada's workforce, education, and economy is essential for strengthening both Indigenous prosperity and Canadian businesses. So the quick agenda today, some welcomes and introductions. I will introduce who we have speaking from the various organizations. We will first go into a program overview, how the Seeding Digital Skills program is structured and will be offered. We will then turn it over to our friends at Unity, who will provide an overview of the Digital Twin training course, what that entails, what people will learn, and how the course is structured. Then we will turn to our friends at Food and Beverage Ontario, who will talk a little bit about who they are, what they do, and why they think this is important for the food and beverage processing industry. And then we'll have a Q&A session to follow. Just so you know, the webinar is being recorded, and we will provide access to that recording to all participants and registrants about a week after the event. And the Q&A box is what you should use. If you have any questions, feel free to ask questions at any time. I will moderate that Q&A. Most of those questions we will probably leave till the Q&A session, but if there's something pressing or pertinent at that time, I will raise it to the speaker. Our presenters today from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce is our Director of Programs, Joanne Sarre, from Food and Beverage Ontario, Jason Crawford, and from Unity Technologies, we have Alistair Mountain, Titi Ondunsi, and Miguel Garcia. Over to you, Joanne.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. My name is Joanne Sarre, and we are very excited at the OCC to be able to offer you this really groundbreaking program. It really involves a lot of exciting, innovative technology that we believe will help you with your productivity, efficiency, and profitability. So this program is designed for manufacturers of food, beverage, dairy, grains, oil seeds, as we've listed here, vegetable and meat production, seafood products, bakery products, cannabis, and also, so everything in that food manufacturing and processing areas. And also for those in the agricultural sector. As Jason pointed out, today is our primary focus is the food and beverage sector, but also we do want to highlight the agricultural piece. So whether you're farming crops, animal farming, greenhouse farming, whatever it is in the farming sector and associated businesses, we'd like to be able to help train you. So what the program is involved with is 12 weeks of online training. And I want to say that this program is entirely free. So that 12 weeks of training on its own with our digital partners, Unity Technologies, is worth about $10,000 US just for that piece of it. So on top of this really wonderful training, 12 weeks, and in that training, there will be 3 hours a week of live training with an instructor. Alistair and the team will go more into the details of that, but you do have 3 hours of that. And there will be all kinds of self-paced learning that can also be accessed. So that package, again, 12-week program there. On top of that, you will receive a 1-year free trial for the Unity platform, and to be able to use this technology that you are learning. And additionally, there is up to $2,000 of employee stipends. So the employers will receive these stipends to help offset the time that their employees are devoting to the course. Upon completion, the learners will receive credentials with Unity. So Unity recognized credentials for digital twinning. On top of this, though, we'll learn things like CAD asset optimization, real-time integration, and environmental modeling. All of that, the Unity team will go into further descriptions of and how really that can benefit your business. There will be some additional AI training for some of our participants. And again, this program is available to all sectors of the food, beverage, and agricultural areas. So what exactly are you going to benefit from in taking this course? Well, really, it is the forefront of how industry, how production, how farming, how everything will be moving forward. It will give you cutting edge advantages by being able to reduce your waste and downtime. You can build models that will help you save on energy, water. It will enable you, as Unity will explain, to test out different scenarios before actually putting them into practice, whether it's in your plant, in your transportation of your goods, keeping food fresher, keeping food more effectively stored. Any of those areas can be supported. Additionally, you can simulate all of these different scenarios before you put them into practice. So you will be able to see by making those changes how that's going to affect whether it's your yields, your productivity, your time, energy, all of those things. Farmers can use it for crop and animal health monitoring. And food and beverage processors can use digital twinning to help them gain competitive advantages. And obviously that leads to your bottom line being more profitable. So it is something we really are excited, as I mentioned, to be offering you. And at this point, why wouldn't you want to learn more about this technology, get involved in the program, and see where it may lead you and your business? So at this point, I'm going to turn this over back to Jason.
Thanks very much, Joanne, for that overview. I do see one question in the chat that I want to ask you right now. And the question is, did I hear this correctly? Is this program really free?
It's free. It is free. Absolutely. So the 12 weeks of training is free. The license that you will get for Unity is free. And on top of that, you will receive stipends to support employee time in the learning. So just to reiterate, it is a package worth over $15,000 US. And it is being offered to you free. We do have limited spots, I might add those. So it is really incumbent that you sign up, and we will be giving you that information at the end. Sign up your interest, register your interest, so that we can reserve your spot.
Yeah, we will provide information about how you can register your interest later. And of course, we want to thank also the funders and sponsors of the program, Upskill Canada, Power Up Pallet Skills, and the federal government, the Government of Canada, for supporting this initiative. Next, I'd like to turn it over to the Unity team to talk about the curriculum, what people will learn, why people should join this program.
Thank you very much. We're going to talk a little bit about how this is going to relate to me, to Unity, how we're going to get this operation off the ground. So the three of us on the call, these are, Alistair, Miguel, and Titi. These are the contacts, I suppose, for this project. And I want to go through a little bit of an overview on, what the program entails, and just a little bit of an idea of who Unity are and what we do. So Unity, you may know us from gaming. Okay, so we are primarily a game engine. So 20 odd years ago, this software was born out of a game, basically. So somebody wanted to make a game. They made some software because nothing existed, and the game didn't do very well, but the software has maintained and is exactly the same as what it is now. Okay, it's been improved, of course, over 20 years, but the idea is that it's developed out of an accident, I suppose, or a necessity, and the software now powers lots and lots of 3D and 2D content. Now, Unity are a piece of software that allows you to extend your product beyond just a flat 2D screen. Okay, so desktop applications and web applications and stuff like that. We can go much further with our projects nowadays onto mobile devices and virtual reality and augmented reality headsets and stuff like that. Now, that's a benefit of learning Unity, is that it's a, build once, deploy everywhere type solution. And that's something that we'll go into a little bit in the program, is, how we can take a base project and how we can then populate different areas for different use cases, and where we can start to share the experience around. Now, what we're thinking about with regards to your industries is how you can start to imagine a future where some of these changes can be impactful on your businesses. Okay, so some of the simulations that you might want to run, and this is known as the digital twin, which I'll get into a little bit more detail after. But essentially, what some of the things that you might find useful in here is that you can start to consider how packaging might be changed, and you can start to introduce this digitally before you manufacture anything. Okay, so these are the sorts of reductions in, processes, in energy, in efficiency, in time. You don't have to produce things in a physical state. You can do, tests on digital representations of that. So packaging would be one of them, but of course it could be a mixture of, heating and cooling solutions and runtime ideas and stuff like this. And these are all the digital solutions that you can start to consider. Now, in some of the videos that are showing up there, you've got some sort of digital twins being displayed. So it can be a facility, it can be one element of your processing package, it can be a whole machinery that's all linked up, and that can start to, output different pieces of information. So you may have experienced some sort of 3D and sort of immersive experiences when going through training, in virtual reality and stuff like that. And of course, that's something that we want to touch upon in the program, is, how you can start to introduce those more effective ways of training, participants, keeping them safe, keeping them away from harms. You don't have to shut down production or anything like that to train somebody how to, fix a particular machine. You could make a digital representation of that machine and do the training task on a digital representation, or a digital replica. So all of these things are what you can start to consider. Now, some of the objectives of the program is that we want to start considering all of these different industries and how we can start to make data-driven decisions. Okay, so obviously, with data backing up your decisions, you should, in theory, see the benefits much quicker. And you can, of course, run simulation on digital apparatus very, very quickly and with very low costs, as opposed to building and creating physical products and then doing tests that way. So there's certain ways which some of the industries could benefit from this, and these are, what we want to discuss with you when you take part in the program. Is you want to make sure that all of this stuff is is running in real time, and you're making better decisions. So we're going to try as well bridging theory and practice. So we're going to start bringing things together. So talking a little bit about AI and how the solutions are out there nowadays to allow AI to start helping out with some of these decision making. So you don't necessarily have to do everything and monitor everything itself. It can start to back up that data and start to analyze the data for you if you provide it with certain criteria and stuff like that. Now, with other stuff that we want to talk about is how digital twins can start to optimize your resources, reduce your waste, and all these sort of sustainable inclusions in your projects. There's some of us in there which are talking about long-term impact. So, we want to make sure that this is a program that you go through. Perhaps you've never been introduced to this type of technology before, but as you start to experience and see what other industries are using it for, how you could start to generate ideas about how this could perhaps help you. And that's what we want to do. We want to inspire and take away something from the program to try and implement in your business and to make digital a key factor in your business decisions going forward. Now, with regards to the curriculum, mentioned already, it's over 12 sessions, 3 hours per session. And the idea here is that it's going to be a sort of central question or theme with each session. I'm going to sort of, investigate and go through some real world examples, talking about how this particular question or theme has been introduced elsewhere in other businesses. Try to steer those examples, of course, towards agriculture and food sectors. Some of them are only really used in certain industries, but I want to showcase how some of those can be used in the sectors that you're in. And then we're going to go through some of the, obviously hands-on Unity experience and getting familiar with the software and the technology. And then, of course, time for discussions, reflections, questions. And, we want people to bring ideas and ask questions to make these as interactive and useful as possible. There is as well going to be some self-paced learning, as it mentions there, 400 hours of on-demand courses you have access to. So obviously you won't be able to do masses amount in 3 hours. It's going to be particularly for those who have never touched the technology, it's going to be an interesting learning curve. You're not going to get a finished product necessarily by the end of the 12 weeks, but you are going to have really good inspiration, and you're going to have lots of help and resources to help you get there. Okay, so that's what the 400 hours is going to talk about a little bit. And then obviously, some of the sessions are going to focus on certain industry technologies that come with the license. So we mentioned earlier, you're going to have access to the Unity license and stuff like that, and that's a particular industry license that comes with a few additional features over a standard license. So we're going to obviously demonstrate what those tools are and how they're beneficial to you in some of these sessions as well. Okay, so with regards to real time, obviously everything's sort of going into a real time experience. So from not necessarily games, but in certain industries, there's loads and loads of examples of where we're starting to get 3D and digital exposure. And of course, your customers probably want this as well. They want the younger audience, typically attached to their phones. These could be your workers, these could be your customers. They want to be see that you're digital innovators, and they also want to connect with people through digital means. So if you're thinking about the target audience for the future, they're very much more digital. So you need to connect with them to stay on, to stay on board with them. Now, when it comes to static and flat and linear, of course, everything nowadays is not that. I mean, you still get broadsheets, you still have people that read newspapers, but you won't typically find younger audiences doing that. It's obviously a much more digital exposure these days. And some of the experiences I put in there in the little GIFs is just to show you how industry can be used in all parts of your food chain. It could be literally from the collaboration with customers for new site buildings or positioning of your factories in the world. and showcasing working with other industries in order to make that happen. And then, of course, other stuff to do with like asset operations and seeing in real time how the data is flowing through your business and your manufacturing simulations and stuff like that. And then, of course, safety demonstrations and overviews and safety training and all that type of stuff is super valuable to be in a digital form. Okay, so you can see, like I mentioned many times already, distribution of models, data. We can bring all real-time data in here. So be it from sensors that are on your machineries or CAD packages. So if you had CAD models of your factory and stuff like that, you can load that into a twin and make a digital replica of that. All of this stuff basically to keep things interesting and to keep the everybody engaged. And of course, the main thing here is we want to see that you're making data-driven decisions. Now, with regards to digital twins, I'll just talk a little bit about those. So I mentioned already, digital twins can be in many forms. So we can go from, what's on the left-hand side of the screen here is a virtual twin. So that can just be something as simple as a realistic sort of digital representation of something. And that's something we'll do straight away within the sessions. So showing you how you can start to represent things and start to position things in the real world, but in a digital format to see how they look. And then as you move along, you start introducing more complexity into the objects, but also more predictive elements, and then autonomous elements as you work, a lot further in development phases. So some of those that we've got on here can be working in certain, twin formats. So we've mentioned already the virtual twin. That's the most easy one to implement, but of course that can be anything from showing pipeline, the references that you're going through, and then as you start to connect up those digital elements, you're starting to get real data feeding into them. That way, after that sort of stuff, you can start to implement predictive elements. So if it knows that you're doing certain things on a regular basis, it can start to consider optimizations of some of those services, reducing time frames and stuff like that. So all of this will build up across time. As you get more data into your digital twin, it can then start to become a little bit smarter. And of course, this requires quite a lot of development as you go from left to right here, but certainly we'll be doing the first 1 or 2 levels within the 12 weeks. Now, some of the real use cases, one that's in particular note for Canada is in the Vancouver Airport, and this is a complete digital twin that was adapted for the airport. So some of the features of this digital twin is operational elements. So each worker within the airport has an iPad with this application on. So if there is a maintenance worker, for example, they would have this iPad and they'd be walking around the terminals trying to find things to fix. Now, if they're in a certain part of the terminal, before they leave that part, they can check their job list to see if anything else has come up. That way it improves efficiency. So if they're not walking from one side of the airport to the next. Other things that they do for passengers is that they have sensors monitoring foot traffic. So if certain flow of people is coming through an area, then they can start to maybe open up more kiosks, or they can have they can start to put the air conditioning on higher and stuff like this. So all of these things are connected up. And obviously they know when the passengers are coming into the terminals based on the flight records and stuff like that. So they know where to put security staff on and, what times these types of events are going to happen. So all of this is in place, been in place for a couple of years now. And all this data is feeding up to make the operation much, much smoother as you move through the airport. So we'll go into that particular example in a lot more detail in the sessions where we talk about digital twins in a real life use case. Now, when it comes to food and beverage processing, some of the examples here, we've got this one on the far right, this little GIF here. This is a representation of AI checking for certain recyclable elements. So you can start to run these types of simulations and train your packaging data in the digital twin. So in theory, if the cameras were running through a recycling plant, they would be able to identify, you'd be able to share that data. They'll be able to identify the recyclable elements of your packaging. Other stuff, like I mentioned already, the VR training. So start to make things workers safer with their training. And then just other digital twins, checking like temperatures and when things have gone wrong, you can start to monitor things from a distance. That's what this little video here is. And again, all of these different things are different ways which digital twins can be implemented in a digital manner. Okay, so I think that's about it from me. I'll hand you over back to Jason, and thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Alistair. Why don't we go to our friends at Food and Beverage Ontario, or our friend at the Food and Beverage Ontario, Jason Crawford, who will talk a little bit about who they are, their Careers Now program, and why they think this particular Seeding Digital Skills program is so relevant to their members and industry. Over to you, Jason.
Thanks, Jason, and thanks, Alistair, for that overview. I was kind of mesmerized by some of your screens there. So, my name is Jason Crawford. I am the Director of Membership and Industry Relations at Food and Beverage Ontario. For those of you who don't know Food and Beverage Ontario, we are the provincial association that advocates on behalf of all of Ontario's food and beverage processors. We're not subsector specific. We look at issues that matter to all processors. So things like labor, productivity are two of our big files. I'm just going to share my screen because we see this digital twinning program fitting in with two parts of our mandate. The first is Careers Now, as Jason alluded to. I'm just going to share my screen. Everybody see that? So Careers Now is the Food and Beverage Ontario's workforce initiative. A little overview of the sector. We have 120,000 people employed in our sector. We are Ontario's top manufacturing sector by employer base. We've got 5,000 businesses and 350 different occupations. The Careers Now program was designed to elevate the careers that are available in the food and beverage sector. The food and beverage processing sector certainly has had over the years it's a difficulty in sharing the careers the good careers that it has. In it, we through COVID, everybody saw that the challenge with getting processed foods was difficult. It really highlighted the importance of our sector. What Careers Now has done is really highlighted to job seekers the great careers that we have. So just some stats that we have: 62% of our job seekers are newcomers, 49, almost 50% are women. 57.1% are 29 years or younger, which is important because our sector also a number of years ago went through the realization that retirement is a huge factor within our sector. 33.5% identify as a visible minority, and 32.4% identify as Black, African, or American or Canadian Caribbean. Some of the numbers: we've got 5,000 businesses engaged. We've got 8,700 job seekers. We've got 1,400 job seekers in skills training. We certified over 1,900 of them. We've got 150 job seekers per job fair that we do, and we've got 100 plus job positions available. So that's a little bit about the Careers Now program. Where we see the benefit of the OCC's digital twinning program. As an association, one of our mandates over the next 3 years as part of our strat plan is helping processors with productivity and understanding the importance of utilizing AI within their business. Productivity within our sector is a huge issue. So much so that we've got 5 sessions this year, consultations, in-person consultations that are going to be looking at productivity. So what we see with the OCC's program and Unity is that we're able to share with our processors. And again, most of our processors are in that small and medium space. 95% of all processors in this province are less than 100 employees. They may not have the resources to look at a program like this. So we see the real value in partnering with OCC and Unity on this, in that it's going to give our processors the ability to really understand what the benefits of not only upskilling their employees, because we see that through our Careers Now program, this is the next step in our Careers Now program, where we were training job seekers. We're now helping employers train their employees, and this is in upskilling current employees is a fantastic program. We see this as being an opportunity for processors. We've heard too many stories, and I know a couple of our members are on this call. A number of our processors have talked about automation, and they've gone down that automation road, and they've realized that they've spent a lot of money, and at the end of it, it's really not doing what it should do. So we see this program as being an opportunity to actually test, and without a lot of investment, a new process or technology that is really going to benefit them, and again, especially the small and medium size. So for us, it really looks at two issues that are critical in our sector right now. One is productivity, because this ties in perfectly with what our mandate is as an association. And two, it's also looking to the employer and saying to them, here's a program that's going to help your employees get upskill. So for us, we're huge believers in this program, and we can't thank OCC enough for giving us this opportunity to share with our members. So I think that's it for me, Jason. I don't know if there's any questions from anybody, but I say we're like I say, what Alistair had showed on screen, if the course is even just a portion of that is going to give processors that access to new technologies, utilizing AI. I think our sector really is in the infancy of understanding what AI can do for them. So we're extremely excited about this program.
Thanks very much, Jason. And I really agree. You know, we've heard that you know, the agriculture, food and beverage processing industry are looking to implement more technologies to help their operations become more efficient, become more modern. And this is a great program to help businesses get started, especially, as you said, Jason, for those small and medium-sized businesses who otherwise may not be able to make that initial investment. We've taken that right off the table by offering this free program with that free 12-month license unity, so that businesses can see what the power of digital twinning can do for their business, different parts of their business, whether they want to start on a small scale. I know Alistair was talking about digital, you know, level 1 digital twins, and or working their way up to, you know, a level 5 digital twin further down the road.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Sorry, Jason. And one of the, I mean, a lot of our processors too are going through that phase of, with all of the challenges we faced over the last 7 months. I think a lot of our processors are looking at business elsewhere, and I think they realize that they have to get more productive. They have to get leaner. And I think technologies like this are only going to be a real tool. So to not take advantage of it, especially when it's free. And I know, Joanne, you know, you were saying the value of the program, but I think that for a lot of our processors, you know, I mean, this is a huge opportunity.
Thanks very much. Well, we have about 25 minutes for Q&A, and we've got a bunch of questions in my Q&A box, so I'm just going to get right to it. We'll start with you, Alistair. Someone wants to know, what's so special about Unity? Is there other software that does similar things? What makes Unity the best? Why did we partner with you on this initiative, Alistair?
Yeah, well, there are other technologies out there. Of course, there are competitors. I think the advantage of Unity is its longevity. It's been around 20 odd years. There's loads and loads of resources online that allow you to keep up to date with what's going on, how to do something. Somebody's probably asked that question in a forum somewhere before. So that's really the power of Unity, that it's it's got loads and loads of historic content online that will allow you to learn and to keep up to date with how things operate. Another advantage is, like I mentioned in the slides, is that it allows you to build a project and distribute to many platforms. So I think we're on 20 odd different types of platforms that you can push your single Unity project to. So we support all the latest and greatest pieces of hardware, from wearable glasses to old school games consoles and stuff like that. So and then obviously mobile devices, all the different types, iOS, Android, Linux, all the popular ones and all the not so popular ones. So yeah, the length and breadth, the stretch, the spread that you can access by building a single Unity project is huge. And obviously that's a real benefit. You don't have to manage multiple projects. You can have a single project, distribute it to many different devices.
In terms of participating in the training and using the software, are there any special equipment in terms of computers or needed someone saying they have a laptop? Would a typical laptop be able to power the software that's being used for the training and to power Unity?
Yeah, I mean you can as long as it installs Unity and you can test it out with a a template project and stuff like that to check it all works fine. Yeah, you can run it on quite low end PCs and Macs and stuff like that. So yeah, you don't have to worry so much about that. There will be elements which might struggle slightly. Some of the more high definition, high fidelity stuff may run very slow, and it does on my machine sometimes as well. But we won't be building necessarily in that. That'll be more of a showcase to show you, what this could look like, if you had the endless investment of keeping up to date with technology. Unfortunately, it's an expensive job. So no, you can run those on reasonably low end machines. A laptop is fine. Most, everybody uses it on a laptop nowadays. And yeah, obviously there's going to be limitations on, how many things you can have running at once and stuff like that. But yeah, typically a low end PC will be okay. And I believe we've shared some technical outlines with you guys, so you can probably forward that on to anybody considering it as well.
Yeah, and some of those technical specifications, the jargon is a bit foreign to me as I'm not such a computer person, but it is available on our program guide. You'll be directed to where that's located at the end of the presentation. You mentioned one of the benefits of Unity is its longevity, and it's built up a large repertoire of assets that can be used for the training that are already there.
Yeah.
To help us with this 12-week training program. And we also already have 400 additional hours of on-demand training. Is that on-demand training available to a learner after they finish the 12-week course? They can do that anytime in the future. And I understand some of those on-demand training will be part of maybe assignments or suggested assignments for the participants during the 12 weeks as well, right, Alistair?
Yeah. So with the 1 year subscription to the license, yeah, you get access to a special platform that we've curated with content for you, industry relevant content, I suppose. And yeah, there's loads of hours of footage on there with training you can watch back and replay, stop, quizzes on there as well to check your understanding and all that type of stuff to just give you a bit of experience. You're going to get exposed to it during the 3 hour sessions, but you'll quickly realize 3 hours is is never enough, and you'll want to learn a little bit more, hopefully. And that's where you can, we'll direct you to that. So, in between weeks, there'll be some suggested learning, maybe to go away and maybe practice the skills, or at least just, keep yourself fresh. It's one of those softwares that if you don't touch it for a little bit, you forget it. And so, it's always good to keep your head in the game, for over the three months or whatever it is. And then yeah, you've got the license for a year, so you can continue taking away from what you've built upon, try and develop some extra stuff, or just keep learning it to see where it can go.
Joanne, a question for you about the program. Is it possible for employees or individuals to register for the program, or is it only available to businesses? Who can register and how do they do that?
Okay, thank you, Jason. So this is for employers. However, if an employee of an organization sees this course, finds out about it, is interested, we highly suggest that you talk to your employer, have them watch one of our webinars, see all the benefits that are possible, and get yourself into the program through your employer. So we do have a sign-up sheet on the OCC website. There is a form that employers are able to fill out to register their interest in the program. You will also find the program guidelines within that site, and people can register their interest. Once we have registered you as an organization, we will be contacting you for further details, and we will be once you have been fully approved for the program, we will then be setting up a time for the training, and Unity will reach out to the individual learner that is going to be registering or going to be taking the program, with all of the details of their license and the training. So it's really as simple as going to the OCC website, clicking on Seeding Digital Skills under the Programs tab, and registering your interest. And we will be in touch with you.
Yeah, so as far as I understand, Joanne, employers participate, but they nominate their employees to participate in the upskilling program.
That is correct. The actual employers are the ones who must register their organizations to take part, and then nominate the employee who will be doing the actual learning.
And so for an employer, how many employees can I send to training? Can I send 3, 4, 5 people to the training? Because
you can send up to 5 employees. So if you have 5 different individuals you would like to access this amazing training, then you can sign those 5 individuals up.
And I understand that if there's anything beyond that, we will look at that on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, we are limited, as we said. We do have limited placements. So really and they will be administered on a first come, first served basis, based on the obviously meeting the criteria that is required to participate in this course. If you do have beyond 5 employees that you would like to be taking this course, then please reach out to us, and we will meet with you to review that.
Back to Alistair. I'm a bakery. Can you give some examples of how digital twins can help a baking operation in terms of efficiency or scaling up? And I see there's a brewery on the webinar as well. So maybe you can answer that in two different subsectors of food and beverage processing.
Yeah, so bakeries, yeah. I mean, the thing that you could do is you could simulate, if you were to change the oven, or you were to make the conveyor belt longer, or if you were to increase batch sizes, how could that affect, or what the knock-on effects could that be? So it could be, the oven maybe runs too hot or something like that if it's processing too many things at once. And these are all things that obviously, if your machinery is connected with any sensors and you're getting that real data in real time, you'll be able to, analyze that, and you'll be able to run, you'd be able to run test simulations based on historic data. So obviously it would take a little bit of time for that to come into place. But if you've got historic data of, when a perfect batch was baked, you would be able to replay that, maybe increase the size of, the speed of the operation, or the type of product that you're creating, and you'd be able to run those simulations without shutting down your operation in real time. You'd be able to do this digitally. And then, when you think you've run a model that looks reasonable, you could then test it out and see whether the model actually stacks up. But the idea here is, if it's using real data that's been captured from the real operation, then it should be a back and forth. It should be a fairly good replica of what to expect. So that's one process. It could just be, equipment could be utilized better as well. So it could be, maybe you're using too many processes or something like that, that you identify that something is a step that's maybe too far, not needed. And again, that could be something that you could run digitally to see how that might affect things. There's loads of other stuff to do with, like, transportation and, how you store those things. And you could, check if it's being stored in a certain place, straight away. How does that affect things? And again, this could be all done, in a digital replica based on real-time data. What was the second part?
I'm all for bakeries, and in particular breweries, scaling up and making more bread and more beer. That I'm all in favor of. You talked a little bit there. I'm going to dovetail into something I'm going to ask you. Is you talked a little bit about sensors. What if I'm an operation which doesn't have any sensors right now? Like, can I still use digital twins? can sensors come in later as I leverage digital twins and see what I can do to improve my operation?
Yeah, exactly. So we don't want, it's, machinery with all these sensors and stuff, are nice, but they're not always necessary, or they're not always available. So yeah, you're going to be registering this data somewhere. So it's a case of, even if it's on a flip chart somewhere, that data, if you feed it into the system manually, you're going to have a log of that, and that log is going to be growing over time. So it doesn't necessarily have to be sensors that do this. It can be that it's a manual process at the beginning, bit slower, but you're still getting the data in there. And again, it doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be super high definition and stuff like this. It can be a very, very basic twin that just shows when things are running at optimal pace, what's the energy efficiency. And we see those in sort of smart meter readers that you have in your house nowadays that show what your energy is being used. You can that data, a lot of that is open source, so it can be plugged into Unity. So you don't necessarily have to have the latest piece of equipment that has this thing built in. It can be that a lot of this is open source as well, that can be fed in as well. So yeah, don't worry, not everyone's got the sensors. We're going to go into very, very briefly what sensors can connect, but of course that's something further down the line as you develop a digital footprint, that you can start to think about maybe introducing those types of things.
Yeah, staying on the topic of breweries, someone's asked, as far as breweries go, we are a very small and manual operation. There's no automation or sensors, etc. And so while this technology sounds ideal, without an actual budget to increase capacity and automation, is this program worthwhile at this point in time? Maybe some examples where, for a very simple operation like a brewery that is very manual, not much automation and sensors, what type of things can they do or learn through the digital Seeding Digital Skills program and leveraging digital twins?
Okay, breweries. Okay, so my very limited knowledge of breweries, other than the end product, would be that I know obviously transportation and getting the brew out. And so if you talk about the transporting side of things, if you were to get it out of the factory quick, the distillery or whatever it is out, is it best? How you must have some data basically somewhere that says, okay, if we get this shipped within a day or two, it's the best product it can be. There's going to be a shelf life to these things. So can you optimize the way that you're transporting the goods? That could be one thing. So again, that will be data that you have because you've had customer feedback from that. With regards to like the actual brewing process, again, you have a formula which you have to go through, a set of steps that need to be done at certain times to make the product efficient. And that could just be that data is digitalized. Okay, so that it's not on a checkboard somewhere that somebody could miss. It's a digital checkboard. Okay, and it must be done, otherwise somebody gets an alert to say this step has been missed. So it could be something as simple as that. Okay, you could introduce a digital checklist somewhere that's maybe on a tablet somewhere in the operation, that is basically a checklist that says this person recorded this action at this point in time. And if that's a quality check, then that's some data that you'll have to feed back to some organization at some point when they come and check whether you're doing these things correctly. You've got it all there. You've got a digital footprint, who did it, when they did it, and every single time that it's been done.
And I imagine as businesses become more sophisticated, they're starting to introduce more machinery, more automation. That's when you can build upon the use of digital twins in a more powerful way.
Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be, that digital checklist is something that's, it's digital data, but it's automating a process. It's something that is going to be there, that can be built upon, in the future. And it's something that's going to, it's going to stop you looking through paperwork to find something. It's in the cloud or whatever. It can be accessed from anywhere. Somebody wants it. They typically want things digital now anyway. So it's a quick job. You can find it with a search box. You don't have to go rifling through a cupboard of checklists or something like that.
Yeah, Jason, I'm going to throw a question to you that I have. We've been speaking with your president and CEO, Chris Conway, a lot, and he says that one of the challenges of agriculture and food and beverage processing in particular for FBO is attracting new talent and retaining talent. And bringing in more technology excites the workforce. Do you have any comments or insights into that, Jason?
Yeah, no, it's a really good point, Jason. One of the challenges with our sector is, and I'm going to use this term loosely, is it's never been perceived as a sexy sector. It's never been perceived as too tech. It's never been perceived as cutting edge. What we in reality is that technology and automation and that sexiness is part of our sector, but attracting people to the sector, that there are great jobs within, again, it could be robotics, it could be anything to do with AI. I'm hesitant to say programming, but it really has been a struggle for us, Jason, to attract students to the sector, because it's always been a sector that's been perceived of, well, you make food, you don't make fun, cool things. No, we make things that you help people survive. I remember one of my processors was battling this with, he was in Waterloo, and he was battling with losing employees to RIM. And he had said to, on the technology side, and he said to them, he said, I don't know where RIM, this is before RIM had any issues, I don't know where RIM are going to be in 15 years, but I can guarantee you, I'll still be making product X out of my plant. Sure enough, that's what it is. So it's sharing that story that we have. Not only do we have jobs that are secure, because food is a necessity in this country, but we have jobs that are becoming more tech, more. And again, this program here, when you're helping to upskill them, that again. And honestly, Alistair, I'm thinking my first question after this is going to be to Jason is, can I sign up for this program? Because I just want to see how it works. Because I'm Miguel's not on the call anymore, but I'm a huge fan of barbecue, and I would love to see how this worked with what I do. So anyways, I think you're right, Jason. It is about attracting those people who really want that cutting edge career, and I think that our sector is getting to that point for sure.
Yeah, and the program is designed not just for, those who are very technical roles, but also in management. There's through the 12-week course, there's going to be different levels of what you're learning. It does get to, a pretty intense stage or pretty advanced stage, I think, in terms of what the curriculum shows. But even if you may not in your company imagine operating or building digital twins, now having an understanding of what digital twins can do, you may be better able to engage with consultants or outside vendors to implement digital twins in your organization. So I think there's a lot of learning through that program. But related to this, Alistair, I think you touched on this a little bit briefly. You can make some pretty simple digital twin models, and then you can get really advanced with great graphics. But so it can go along a learning curve, but for a new learner, what are the common challenges someone might face when they first use Unity or learn to digital twin?
Yeah, so Unity is obviously it can be a complex complex software. So if you've ever experienced something like Photoshop or something like that, there's millions of menus and options and possibilities. So that can be scary, sometimes. So we want to make sure that is the learning curve is a little bit softer in regards to, we're going to provide you with a project that's got some of these elements in it already to show you how they're operating, and then we can look at deconstructing them and looking into how they're put together. So we'll be covering little bits on programming and visual programming and stuff like that, just to give you an introduction to, okay, there's different ways of doing the same challenge depending on your skill set. But yeah, Unity, yeah, it can be a very, very complex topic, but that's for somebody who wants to do a complex element of it. If it's something really simple and it's a 2D just a flat element with some text and some buttons on it, that's really, really simple to do, and that's something we'll be able to demonstrate, and you'll be able to come away with, all the participants will be able to come away with having implemented something like that. So the button that they press, that they built, does something. It does something in the project. It stops a machine, or it starts a machine, or it turns some lights off, or these types of simple interactions, just to showcase how you know, it's the same process that will be done just for a different use case.
Yeah, I think Alistair, you touched on something that's, I think, very important, is that the learners are encouraged to come with their own ideas or problems that they see in their business and have a way to share that with the instructor so that the instructors can guide you on what you can do with digital twins to help specific problems within your business, and then build upon that little mini project throughout the 12-week course so that by the end of the course, there's something that's kind of tangible that you can take back to your business in terms of understanding of how digital twins can specifically help a specific problem area. Jason, you had your hand up earlier. Did you have a question, comment?
Yeah, no, and Alistair brought up a good point that I had meant to mention earlier, is that we have a lot of our processors have people who have been doing a job that may be very labor intensive, and they want to move to something that's less labor intensive. They don't want to lose the employee because they're fantastic employees. They may not be the most, they may not be technical people, but again, I think what Alistair's talking about and what the program offers is you can include them in this so that they can. Because again, if you have an employee who's been a loyal employee for a lot of years and you want to keep them and you just want to have them do a different job, this to me is a perfect way to give them that opportunity. So I just think it's a really good fit for our sector for sure.
Yeah, we have a minute or two left, so I'll try to get to the next questions as fast as I can. I think we already touched upon this one. Are there additional modules or advanced training available afterwards? And we mentioned there's 400 hours of additional on-demand training that's available. A more specific question, does the technology help in simulating environmental factors such as weather conditions, soil conditions, temperatures? Does it need additional applications to integrate with the Unity? So I guess sensors is part of that answer, but Alistair, do you want to give a little more color?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there'll be certain, sensors in greenhouses or, even in delivery trucks. So maintaining that will be somewhere. Somebody will be getting that data on their dashboard to say the truck is not delivering things at the correct temperature anymore or something. So logistics wise, so those types of things, GPS, are you taking the best route to get to where you're going, to deliver the goods in the best shape they can. All of this stuff can in theory be implemented. Yeah. So down that 4-5 digital twin route, that would be something that can be implemented. So hopefully we're going to show some of that, how to simulate, that data and how that would maybe be attached in the Unity project and in the scene, and how those types of elements can be implemented. So there's loads of different ways, and hopefully we'll answer some of those questions in the session.
Yeah, and there's one more question in regards to the Unity license. So again, all the participants, so every learner will have a Unity license for 12 months. But in terms of a company using Unity going forward, does a company just need one license? Does every user in a company need a license to use Unity?
No, it depends. I mean, generally it's the person who is doing the development work that needs, a license to access the tools. For a distribution, if you built something and it's one person maintaining it, that would be one license, whatever. Putting that onto 20 iPads or whatever, it doesn't require anything else. It's a single user that would be distributing to 20 iPads, for example.
Thanks very much, Alistair. Well, I want to thank all of our panelists, Alistair, TT, I know Miguel was there for the first bit, Joanne from the OCC, all our support staff who's behind the scenes running the webinar, as well as Jason Crawford from our partners at Food and Beverage Ontario for joining us. Thank you for all the participants. The QR code that you see on your screen, that gets you to the link to register your interest. You can scan that, or you can go to occ.ca/programs. There will be 2 links there under the Seeding Digital Skills section. One link takes you to the expression of interest page, or that registration page. And then the other link links to our program guide, which has all the information that an employer needs to know about participating in the program and sending and nominating employees to that program. If you have more inquiries, please feel free to email us at seedingskills@occ.ca. Once again, this recording will be shared in a follow-up email within about a week's time. I want to thank everyone for joining. Thank you for your panelists once again, and have a great rest of the day.